Hey guys, welcome back to this series. We are on week 3 of the Wheel of Life series. And of course, I am your Choose to Win coach, Michael Marchant, and your Texas real estate broker with EXP here. And in today's episode, we're going to be covering the spiritual spoke. So if you were with us last week, we covered the mental spoke and hope to have you with us next week. If not, subscribe so you get the notification. But we are going to be covering the physical spoke. So collectively, the mental, spiritual, and physical spoke have the biggest impact on the way we view ourselves. And if you remember, our key takeaway or one of our key words from last week was input. Our input determines our outlook. So today we're focusing on spiritual input. And in case you guys aren't familiar with it, this is your first video. Otherwise, you should have seen this slide already in videos 1 and 2. But as I mentioned last week, we were in the mental spoke. Today we're in the highlighted spiritual spoke. And of course, next week we're going to be up top there in the physical spoke. And again, just like for all the other spokes, there is 10 components that make up a strong spiritual spoke. And those are highlighted in the bottom left corner there for you. So if you haven't seen this, this is the Wheel of Life assessment. It's a tool that goes along with the Wheel of Life and gives you the full 70 components that make, so 7 spokes and 10 components in each spoke equals 70 components total. And what will we cover in episode 3? So in episode 3, we're going to start off with a quick recap of what we covered in episode 2. The spiritual spoke summed up in one word. So if you had to put one word to it to summarize everything, what would that be? The 10 components of a strong spiritual spoke. We'll briefly look at that, and then we're going to take a deep dive into the 68 qualities of success. Now, the 68 qualities of success is based out of the spiritual spoke, but it is actually a comprehensive list that goes a lot deeper than just the 10 components. So we're going to bring that into the equation as well. And then, of course, closing and key takeaways to apply this week what we have learned. So recap of key points from episode 2. Of course, we had the mental spoke summed up in one word, and that word was input. Again, like we mentioned earlier, what you bring into or what you allow into your mind determines how you view yourself and the world. So the 10 components of a strong mental spoke. Again, if you did the assessment, which you should have if you watched the last video, then you were supposed to. One of the takeaways that we were going to practice was finding one of the components that we were lacking in or lower in and focusing on working that component and just making small changes. So that was our key takeaway or one of our action items. So the spiritual spoke summed up in one word. Before I get into this, I just want to clarify. I do understand that we're in a very politically correct society, and some of you watching this video may be completely offended or outright turned off by the fact that I'm discussing anything even remotely labeled spiritual. So I just want to point out that for a religious person, a spiritual matter or spiritual input would be their faith. If you're not a religious person, then spiritual input for you would simply just be your belief system, your values, whatever kind of guides you in your day-to-day decisions. And the reality is that I've met, as I'm sure many of you have, people that are religious or claim to be religious, people in positions of authority at a church, whatever it may be, and they have treated you very poorly. They've taken advantage of situations and basically lived without a moral compass or without any defined set of values. And on the flip side, I know a lot of people, my in-laws included, that are not overly religious. They don't prescribe to a formal religion, but they live their lives according to a strict code or a strict set of values. So at the end of the day, it's not about what religion you do or don't prescribe to. It's really about this one word. And summarizing it up in one word, that word is trust. Trust is foundational to any relationship. And relationships are the secret to having a happy and fulfilled life. Now, this is actually well illustrated by a study done by Dr. Robert Waldinger at Harvard. Now, this is a longitudinal study, which basically means that they extended it over a 75-year period of time. So what they did was they took 750 plus men and they gathered data from them when they were in their teenage years, and they tracked them for 75 years to the present day. And what they found by comparing the answers that these men gave in their 50s to the answers these same men gave in their 80s was that the secret to living a full and happy and satisfied life was to focus on relationships. Again, this was a longitudinal study, so it was over 75 years. And to have people that you have data from the time they were a teenager till the time they're in their 80s, and to be able to clearly articulate with a consensus what it was relationships for all of these people. Now, trust is foundational to any relationship. Without trust, a relationship is going to wither and die quickly. Now, put another way, it could be our character. So, a person of character, you probably heard that saying, that's somebody that can be trusted, that can be relied on. That's probably somebody that you are okay having a relationship with. So, getting into the 10 components, just like there are 10 components in the mental spoke, there's 10 components in the spiritual spoke. And those 10 components are believe in God, inner peace, influence on others, spouse relationship, church involvement, sense of purpose, attitude for giving donations, prayer, Bible study, and abundant gratitude. So if you're following along from episode 1, you should have already completed the assessment, in which case you have numbers ranking from 1 to 10 on each of those. If you have not done the assessment or you don't know what I'm talking about, then I want you to just pause this video for a second and go through and on a sheet of paper, rank yourself from 1 to 10 in each of those areas. I'm going to give you a second to do that and then come right back. Okay, so now that you've done that, you should have a more clear picture of each of those areas. Maybe you're saying, okay, well, that's great, but that doesn't apply to me. I don't believe in God. I don't have church involvement. I don't even go to church. I don't pray, and I'm definitely not in a Bible study. Okay. Well, that is why Ziglar came up with the 68 qualities of success. Now, they actually took it a step further, and from the 10, they dug down even deeper and created 68 qualities of success. And those are here. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but if you look at them, it's a very comprehensive list of all the qualities a person could hope to have attributed to them. Now, I want you to think about it like this. If you're going to pick somebody to be in a relationship with, whether that's business, personal, romantic, whatever it is, would you want them to have more or less of the qualities on this list? Now, if you have 10 out of 10 out of all of these qualities, you have somebody that's a 10 out of 10 out of every single one of these. The odds are that that is probably a trustworthy person, somebody you would consider of high character, and somebody you would be willing to have a business, personal, or romantic relationship in because it's somebody that you can trust. So I look at them like this. I look at them as character qualities. So these are character qualities. So whether you're a religious person or not, whether you're a spiritual person or not, maybe you're an employer, maybe you're an employee, maybe you're a spouse, whatever the case may be, having more of these and being able to improve in any one of these areas is going to make you a better human being. And at the end of the day, it's all about making small changes. And what sets us apart is the actions that we take. So are you willing to take action and improve yourself, improve your character, and gain more or improve the qualities of success that you already have? So we are all capable of improving these qualities. The only question is, will you? So final thoughts here, guys. If you heard last week, then I gave you some practical application. And again, that was taking that mental spoke and that assessment that we did, those 10 components, and finding one component that you work on. We're going to do something similar here today because, again, the fastest way to success is to replace bad habits with good ones. Again, that's Tom Ziglar in his book, Choose to Win. So I want to reiterate, it's not about being perfect. It's not about getting 10 out of 10 in all 68 of these areas or all 10 of these areas. It's about making small changes that are going to add up and compound over time. So again, 68 qualities of success. And your application for this week is I want you to write down the 10 qualities that you feel are the most important to your long-term success right now. So look at this list, pause the video, print it out, whatever you want to do. And I want you to look at this list and write down the 10 components that you feel are the most critical or the most applicable to your long-term success right now, as in today. And then I want you to go back and I want you to do the same thing. I want you to go back and I want you to write the 10 qualities of success on this list, same list. So the 10 qualities of success you feel you need to develop most in your life right now. So we're doing two things. 10 qualities that you feel would help you be the most successful in life right now, and the 10 qualities you need to improve the most on right now. And once you've done that, I want you to go through and find the overlap between the first and the second list. And where that overlap is where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. So I want you to take one of those areas, just like we did last week. We're not looking for big changes. We're not looking to change our whole life in 1 week. All I want you to do is find one overlapping area and commit to making small changes in it this week, whatever that may be for you. Give you an example. One of mine is discipline. Now, I am very disciplined in some areas and I'm very undisciplined in other areas. And for me, that has led to me having to put systems in place because discipline for me does not come naturally, but it is an area that is vital to my long-term success in my life right now. And it's also an area that I need to improve in. So there's the overlap for me. And what I've had to do is put systems in place. Something as simple as getting up at a certain time each morning. I've had to move my alarm clock somewhere other than the side of my bed on my nightstand because I can reach over and just turn it off if it's there. So I've had to take the temptation away in a sense and move it to a completely different part of the room to where I actually have to get out of bed to go turn it off. And for me, once I'm out of bed, the likelihood that I go back into bed is much smaller. Versus if I'm laying in bed and I turn it off, I've never actually gotten out of bed, I'm going to be back asleep in about 10 seconds. So find that overlap for yourself. Commit to changing one area and just making small changes, whatever it is for you. And then come back next week and we're going to get into the physical. And of course, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends. Share this video with somebody that you think would use it. Share this video with somebody that you think might be able to benefit from it because I really do want to get this message out there. And if you're just kind of feeling overwhelmed, you're like, I'm loving this stuff, I like it, but I don't know how to begin or I don't know where to go from here, then that is what coaching is for. That's what coaching is all about. Now, obviously, one-on-one coaching or group coaching, I can go in a lot more depth on your personal issues than I can here. So again, I'm going to offer that strategy session to anybody that's interested. I do have a limited number of those, and once they're gone for the week, they're gone. So I will get you in at the next available, but nothing changes until something changes, guys, and the ball is back in your court. So give me a call, shoot me a text. All my contact information is on the final slide here. In any case, I want you guys to be proud of yourself. You're doing something great today, and I will see you next week.